What is up, YouTube? It's the Eradicate here, and today I'll be starting a new series, basically talking about different OU or like different tier styles, and giving you guys some example teams, some different play styles like offensive, defensive, balanced, bulky offensive, and as such, probably 3 per video or so. Just a basic explanation of the teams, like what each Pokemon's role are, and how it works in the metagame, some of the different moves they can use for each of their sets, some of the different like the stat distributions and stuff like that for your EVs. And let's get right into it here. Start with the offensive OU. This video is obviously going to be for OU. So for the first team, we got more of an offensive-based one with Keldeo, Mega Metagross, Ferrothorn, Garchomp, Victini, and Tracheon. Basically, I started this team after I saw the core idea of Keldeo and Mega Metagross. It's a mouthful to say. Obviously, they work really well together type-wise, with Metagross resisting a lot of things that Keldeo is weak to, and obviously vice versa. With those two, they also have a really good offensive ability. They take care of a lot of threats that each one can't really deal with. Like Keldeo kind of loses to Latios. Metagross obviously is usually able to beat most of the sets unless you run Shadow Ball, which isn't run that often. And obviously, some of the things that Metagross loses to, Keldeo is also able to beat as well. Keldeo is also just really annoying Pokemon to deal with that's offensively set up, and also with Metagross, they kind of work well together. So for Keldeo, we got Leftovers, Calm Mind, Substitute set. Basically, you're going to bring this on things that are going to force a switch. That's a lot of metagame actually. And you're just going to set up a Substitute or Calm Mind and basically start trying to set up with your Skull and Secret Sword. This guy has a pretty basic stat or EV distribution. I went all in at speed and special attack. His special defense bulk will become really high afterwards. You could do some defensive or HP investment. However, I think it's definitely worth it to do this to try to outspeed as many things as possible, because you still will be susceptible to things that are faster than you, and like Scarf users or other things like that you wouldn't be otherwise if you didn't invest in speed. Mega Metagross obviously is really annoying to deal with. Tough Claws boost, it's already really nice 145 base attack. Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, Ice Punch, and Hammer Arm are my favorite cover options. That covers a lot of things in the tier, between some of the things that like obviously counter Keldeo with the Hammer Arm and stuff like Tracheon and stuff like that, or like Zen Headbutt. It also covers the dragons, like I said, something that Keldeo kind of struggles with Ice Punch. Good coverage there. Steel type moves obviously good against stuff like T-Tar, but I also like Keldeo is also good against this. It just puts up so much pressure with these two Pokemon. For the stat distribution, I went 252, 252. Hey, let me move this down for you guys. Okay, there we go. So obviously I'm Jolly here. That's going to be the most speed possible, and while also making sure you still hit hard with your attack. Next we got Ferrothorn. You're going to usually lead with this kind of often, or at least try to early on get your Stealth Rocks or Thunder Wave up to cripple them. That's obviously, both of these things are great for offensive teams. The fact that Stealth Rocks has chips damage, and the fact that it can take down stuff like Talonflame, which this team kind of struggles against otherwise. Thunder Wave can obviously cripple a lot of sweepers, making you faster. You can get a nice flinch, or like not flinch, but like a Parahacks. Really nice. I've invested them all on defense. I think that's the most important thing. There's not that many special sweepers in the metagame right now. For him, he's kind of straightforward. Otherwise, Leech Seed with Leftovers is going to keep him healthy. Iron Barbs, obviously, and obviously run as few speed nature or as few speed IVs as possible. You can run a few if you want to outspeed other Ferrothorn. Besides that, you're not going to want to run anything else. Garchomp. Garchomp is the revenge killer of this team, or just outright any late game sweeper. However, I think you have better options in Tracheon and Keldeo for late game. The Choice Scarf is obviously going to let you outspeed and revenge kill, or at least hit a nice dent in a lot of things. I run Jolly. Actually, I'm going to run Adamant on this, because I feel like you can hit harder, and still, you might get outsped by some other Scarf users, but still, I think it's definitely, you're not getting outsped by that many things. Nothing really in the 90 to 100 range really has a lot of Choice Scarf users. He's still going to hit a lot harder now. Rough Skin can kind of punish some physical attackers if he doesn't kill or on the switch in. Earthquake, Outrage, Stone Edge, Iron Head. Favorite move coverage for that. This is probably your best option to kill Talonflame besides Metagross with the Stone Edge, because you can tank the Brave Bird or Flare Blitz easy, and Revenge kill with Stone Edge. Besides this, the team's kind of really weak to Talonflame, and that can be kind of annoying, especially ones that run Will-O-Wisp, because then Tracheon can't really switch in reliably. Alright, Victini. Victini is your wall breaker of the team. Obviously, V-Create is really dangerous. Bolt Strike as well helps you get those water types like Slowbro down. Glaciate for some of the dragons, and that's it seems really good against a lot of the dragons like Garchomp, Dragonite, regular Salamence, Latioses, and stuff like that. Some of the typical dragons of the team, or the tier. Grass Knot, again, for stuff like Swampert. Oh, you're not going to see that often. Grass Knot also hits stuff like T-Tar kind of strong, but then again, you have Keldeo. This team covers a lot of the. This team can beat a lot of the more defensive teams or stallish teams simply based on just offensive potential. It kind of loses some more of the bulky offenses. They can take a hit and hit back harder. I think it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors. I think offensive usually beats up defensive teams. Defensive kind of beats bulky offense, and bulky offense beats offensive. Obviously, there's some more variants of like super fast. There's like other teams like Trick Room and stuff like that. It gets kind of complicated, but those are the general three teams, the three types I look forward to or look at when I'm like making my team. Last on the team is Tracheon, Life Orb Justified, got Sword Stance, Substitute, Close Combat, Stone Edge. Great late game sweeper. I run Speed Nature to him as fast as possible, so I'm not running Rock Polish. Sword Stance and sub. There's so many chances he gets to come in and set up a sub. He threatens a lot of Pokemon on the tier. That kind of forces a switch. So you can use him late game as a late game cleaner once his checks have been taken care of, or later in the game. Oh, the other thing for Metagross and Keldeo is Metagross takes care of a lot of the fairies that Keldeo would struggle against otherwise. Togekiss, or you don't really see a Vermatisse like at all, but what are the fairies? Sylveon and stuff like that. He takes care of them pretty well. That's what I think for that core. That cores works really well. Close Combat Stone Edge gives him 2 great stabs, hits a lot of the metagame for at least neutral damage, and has a lot of good super effective matchups. Like I said, for his stats, definitely Speed Nature 108 is a great speed tiering, and can outspeed a lot of things, like obviously anything lower than it, and sometimes if things at 110 may not run full speed investment, he can outspeed then. Attacks gonna hit relatively hard, 357 is a lot of attack, and yeah, it's a pretty good team. I think this team, like I said, struggles against some of the bulky offenses if they can take a hit. Some stall teams might give it problems, so I think it can usually beat other stall teams, and that's this team's really good for a beginner. You kind of just go in there, and once you kind of predict what's going to come in, it's nothing too hard. And honestly, if they stay in still, you're going to do a lot of damage. And the one thing this team does kind of lack is a true speed, like a really high speed, like 130 plus for an offensive team. That's kind of rare. It's a lot more relying on predicts. So actually, this team's more for an advanced player. Someone who's going to be able to make sure they make the right predicts at the right time and stuff like that, and know the matchups more. I'd recommend more of a balanced team for beginners, someone you can have a good wall to switch into most of the time and stuff that can also hit hard back. This team probably is more of an advanced team. Alright, so let's go and look at our next team. We got Balance. Alright, so as for this team here, we got a Gliscor Magnezone core, obviously really great typing together, typing synergy. Gliscor is immune to ground, Magnezone resists ice. It really works all together, and Gliscor is also able to kind of be a stall breaker, which is something that a lot of teams can struggle with, stuff like that. People over stalling, which is really great. Toxic Orb, obviously, for your Poison Heal. Sword Dance, Knockoff, Earthquake, and Roost. Not your standard stalling set. I prefer to have more of an offensive pressure. When you're kind of sitting there stalling, they can set up pretty easily, and if Clefable's down, the team's going to struggle. Sword Dancing up, also, he forces a lot of good switches by Square. Like when you have Choice Scarf, Guard Chomp, and you get an Earthquake, thinking Magnezone's still going to be in. Gliscor gets a free Sword Stance. Or a free knockoff on something. That's really great. Investment, I run, as you can see there, it's a specific set. It lets it tank a certain special hit on someone. Even with only 288 total defense, it still tanks pretty well on the physical spectrum. It makes it much more of a good mixed wall. It's something that really complements well with Magnezone, as you'll see in a second. Magnezone also really works well with Clefable, because it obviously resists the steel and the poison. So you got a really good solid core between Gliscor, Magnezone, and Clefable. And your 3 offensive sweepers in Serperior, Lopunny, and Azumarill are all really solid. You got a nice special sweeper. You got a nice your Mega is really what the whole team's based around, trying to take care of some of its threats. With Magnezone taking care of some of the steel typings that can even tank a high jump kick, or some of the more people who needs to protect more often. Azumarill is usually a late game sweeper. Actually, I'm running a Choice Band set. I don't know why I said that. Choice Band set's a good wall breaker early game for this team. You can usually kind of switch around with Gliscor, Magnezone, and stuff like that. Especially with Magnezone, if they're going for like a poison type move, switch into Magnezone real quick, and then you can take him out. And obviously, this thing struggles to get against steel types if they don't have a superpower. It's not an option like Scizor, which Magnezone takes care of. So more of a detailed description of some of the Pokemon. Magnezone's Choice Backs hits as hard as possible. It's to get those 1 and 2 hit KOs and some of the not the fire types, the steel types. Volt Switch is really good on balanced teams, or any team really. It gets you a free switch in, and he's pretty slow, so he's been going second most of the time. I run Magnet Pull over Analytic because he's there to kind of draw some of those steel types in and take them out. Hidden Power Fire is obviously for the steel types. Flash Cannon's is a good stab move for him. Here's the set. 88 speed is to outspeed other base 60s, and I think also some stuff in the 55s to 60s like Conk. I think. Modest nature is most damage as possible, and that's a set right there. I think the HP is also to tank a certain spec. I got those all off of Showdown for the basic sets. I'm not running anything super like different than what they run, so you can check their pages out. Clefable is obviously you are unaware. He's kind of anti-setup. So many times people have set up stuff when Clefable's still in the game. Clefable can come in and do some damage. I love setting up alongside people with Calm Mind. People think, oh, he's Magic Guard or something like that, and I'm setting up Calm Minds because most Calm Mind sets are Magic Guards. They can't be toxic and stuff like that, or burned and dealt with. Moonblast, Moonlight, and Heal Bell makes this team really healthy. The only thing to be careful with is Heal Belling and then having your Glassware lose his Toxic Orb. That kind of sucks because he loses his Toxic and then he can't be poisoned and healed up. He loses a lot of his passive recovery then. This set's pretty basic. It's there to take care of the dragons. It's the real dragon counter on this team. Stuff otherwise, like Keldeo, it checks really well, which is really important for this team. Otherwise, it kind of loses pretty badly to Keldeo, which is really nice. And yeah, that's pretty much what this thing's meant for. Superior is obviously one of our, I guess you could say setup, but also at the same time, it's pretty good at crippling with Glare, when it forces a switch. Dragon Pulse and Hidden Power Ground also round out good coverage moves. Obviously, you're running Contrary. You're not running, what was it? Overgrowth? Yeah, Overgrow. Yeah, forget that. Leaf Storm obviously is going to be your most of the go-to move. I run Hidden Power Ground just for Heatran, because obviously you're drawing Heatran in a lot, either on the Hidden Power Fire, which I think you'll be running, which you're not. Also because this thing is, my team has Magnezone to deal with the Steel types, which lets you run Superior with Hidden Power Ground, because the Steel types are already dealt with by Magnezone. Or even if they get Force switched in, you can still bring Magnezone in that Steel type's dead. Lopunny, which is our next one. It's obviously our Mega. Whole team's kind of based around getting this thing set up late game to kind of fake out and get some damage and get a kill. I run Limber before in case I switch in on like a Paralysis move. Klutz and Cute Charm doesn't really do much. Cute Charm can be kind of situational, but I definitely prefer Limber, making sure this thing doesn't get paralyzed, because you need to bring out Clefable just to bring it back to being able to be usable. Fake Out, Return, High Jump Kick, Ice Punch. Typical coverage move pool here. Thing hits really hard. It's really good in 1v1s, and that's really proven in here when he can come in, or when she can just come in here and just take over a game, when she can just get a kill right there and another one afterwards. She's so fast. Like 135 base speed is nothing to be messing around with. 136 base attack's also obviously really strong. However, that speed tier is really what matters here. You're outspeeding so many things late game when everything's kind of hurt and dealing with them. And to get this thing to late game, you're going to be using a Azumarill with Choice Band and Huge Power. Not your standard setting up with the belly drum. This is more of a Choice Band set, just able to do heavy damage, because you're basically, 100 base attack, and then you're also Choice Banded on top of that. Aqua Jet, Waterfall, Play Rough, and Superpower gives you great coverage against the metagame. I run Aqua Jet and Waterfall because it also gives you a bit of revenge killing, because besides Lopunny, this team kind of they can keep their stuff alive a lot longer than they should be able to. The one thing this team does struggle with is, before I get into that, full attack, full HP, speed at 50 is not going to matter that much. You still have Aqua Jet if you need priority, or to go first. Really helpful. Other than that, yeah, this team struggles against, let's see here, besides Clefable, you don't have a Keldeo check. Talonflame, you got Azumarill, I guess. I'm not really sure how well Azumarill matches up against a Brave, or two Brave Birds, you can't really switch them in. Clefable's okay against it. Other than that, some other threats to the metagame of this team. Garchomp, if he starts getting the predicts right, can be kind of dangerous, because Glassware is not that heavily defensive invested. Especially if they run Iron Head or Poison Jab, they're going to be taking out Clefable and Magnezone. That's a lot of your core. You don't really have any great switch-in options against that. Yeah, this core, basically, you have to make sure the core stays alive early. I like using the core of Glassware, Magnezone, and Clefable to beat stuff down. Don't really have my sweepers in besides Azumarill until a later game. Try to save those until all the counters are done. That's a usual strategy, I know, but more so than like other teams. Sometimes they'll bring in their sweepers in early to get a good free hit in or just force a switch. I really try to stay away from that on this team. That's something really important, because a lot of your team doesn't really have great recovery besides Clefable and Glassware. Alright, so up next is our defensive team. Obviously, it's kind of stallish. You have enough offense on it to pull it off. It's not bulky offensive at all, but definitely not stallish. I think it's more defensive. Ferrothorn's our first Pokemon here. It's really great. Setting up Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave is going to cripple a lot of Pokemon. Leech Seed to keep them healthy. Power Whip, just a great attacking move. I don't like Gyro Ball and Thunder Wave together, obviously, for obvious reasons. They're so slow then. For this guy, I'm running full speed investment because of that, or full speed IVs because of that, to outspeed other Ferrothorn. Full defensive in HP because you got such a great core with Vaporeon running full special. This thing's obviously great at setting up a lot of stuff. It can kind of switch in on a lot, and physical attackers are always going to have to be wary of it because it's of Iron Barbs. Up next we got Vaporeon. Where's my mouse? There it is. Alright, Vaporeon, I'm running full special defense invested because of that. I know a lot run mix, however I run full special because you have Ferrothorn such being such a great physical wall, and he can still take a special hit. The core value right there of Ferrothorn, Vaporeon, Heatran, really great. Obviously, you can bait a lot of fire type moves with Ferrothorn and Vaporeon, and Heatran both handle them really well. Obviously, 2 and 3 ground weakness isn't really covered, but it's still not a bad thing. Vaporeon obviously his electric weakness is obviously covered up by Ferrothorns. Fighting's kind of weak between them. That's why we have Landorus, who half resisted, and he has Intimidate, which is great against fighting types. Ice weakness on Landorus, you have Heatran and Vaporeon to take care of that. Latios has the Dragon weakness, Heatran and Ferrothorn for that. Ice weakness, you obviously have Vaporeon for that. There's a lot of things, and Rotom Wash lets you get a lot of free switch-ins. It kind of creates a nice Volt Turn switch core with Landorus, and that's really lets you keep up the edge in the fight. On Vaporeon, we got Water Absorb, Leftovers. When you see a water attack coming in from against Landorus or Heatran, bring in Vaporeon, get him healed up. Wish helps his team out a lot because Heatran and Ferrothorn don't have reliable recovery. Vaporeon has a really great HP stat base of 130. Other than that, you're going to be toxicking a lot of things. Try to keep them down like that. Scald. This team kind of lacks spikes and toxic spikes, so it really relies on Vaporeon and stuff like that, and some other Pokemon to really take care of the status conditioning and making sure you can take people down, while also being able to do some sizable damage with Scald. Heatran's up next. Heatran's one of my favorite Pokemon in OU, just based on the fact that it can tank its own Earth power. That's not saying that it's weak, it just really means that it's really bulky. Leftovers Flash Fire is really nice. Flash Fire with the Ferrothorn, that's so nice. My first original OU team had that. I cannot tell you how many times people would go for like a Fire Blast or a Flamethrower against Ferrothorn just to give Heatran a Flash Fire. Also for things like Will-O-Wisps against Landorus, works really well with that. Obviously Landorus is immune to ground as well, which helps out Heatran a lot. They make really good partners as well, as with Latios. Lava Plume to get burns and just do sizable stab damage. Protect to get some Leftovers recovery and the Scout moves. Earth Power does a lot of damage to himself, to like other Heatran and Magnezones and stuff like that, so you're not going down without a fight. Toxic is obviously another Pokemon that can help try to set up status and wear them down over time. For the setup, or the stats, we got all in special defense and HP. Like Vaporeon, it's not the greatest special wall, it's just that it works really with Ferrothorn. This gives you another option on the defensive special defensive spectrum to take care of stuff. Next up is Landorus. Landorus is a typical Choice Scarf Intimidate set. The most overused Pokemon in OU. I think it's like 31%. Earthquake, U-Turn, Stone Edge, Superpower. Really good combo there. Intimidate helps you pivot in with like Rotom. Creates a nice U-Turn core with him. They both resist ground, which helps out a lot with like Vaporeon with Heatran. Like I said before, Stab Earthquake does a lot of damage. Stone Edge helps with move coverage. U-Turn's gonna let you a lot of switch-ins and keep the momentum on your side. That's the one thing with defensive teams is you got to make sure you keep the momentum up. You want the advantage matchup, which obviously any team wants, but defensive teams need that. If they have a really bad matchup, the other person can make a predict and get you to kill. Obviously, they can make a predict otherwise. However, they give you a lot more safer options when you have the momentum in your favor. I don't run a speed nature on this guy. I run attack. He just does so much more damage that way. 427 attack, but helps you net a few more one-hit KOs. This thing is really helpful because it's able to kind of lead off and get you momentum, or shutting that at your early game kill. People will see the U-turn coming, and you go for the right move and you get a kill, or you do sizable damage. They might see a Stealth Rocks coming and switch into like their Espeon, and you get a free U-turn off of that, or an Earthquake and you two-shot it. This thing's really nice. It helps you mess around a lot with the tier and just cause general mayhem with him. He's one of your more offensive Pokemon with Latios. They don't make a great core together, however having a physical and special attacker even on a defensive team is something that's kind of important, and if you're not running a full stall team, helps you kind of deal enough damage to slowly wear their team down while your team's not going to get destroyed in the first few turns. So Latios here is the Life Orb, Levitate, Draco Meteor, Psyshock, Defog, and Roost. Defog's obviously to be able to stall teams, Roost is to keep your Life Orb user healthy, Psyshock is for Keldeo, Draco Meteor just to do boatloads of damage, really helpful for this. Investment, I run full speed and special attack, speed nature. helps to go first against Gengar, or at least make the speeds high with him. Really helpful and really needed thing. This thing's also, like I said, good against Keldeo. It can beat most Gliscors because of Draco Meteor just doing enough damage. Side Shock helps with some special walls. Yeah, this thing is really helpful. Not only utility, but it's also not fully offensive. It's a nice mix between the two. They kind of make it like they're kind of worried about what you're going to be doing. Obviously, not being weak to Stealth Rocks is also nice because of the defog. Most defog users are weak to it. Rotom Wash is our last thing, and this thing is really annoying to fight with the whole Will-O-Wisp and Pain Split. It can take care of a lot of sweepers. If he gets on a low healthy Pain Split, there goes their sweeper, and then you have things like Will-O-Wisp to take care of things like Garchomp and other prominent physical sweepers like Dragonite. Not even just them, but like other Pokemon as well, like other physical sweepers, Landorus. It also has a really good matchup, the fact that it's not weak to ground. It's only weak to grass, which isn't that prevalent in the metagame, which is really helpful. Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, like I said, typical move pool here. Investment, I run full defensive and HP because I already have 2 good special mons in Vaporeon and Heatran. I want another defensive mon to match up with Ferrothorn. Will-O-Wisp is one of the best moves in the set, and so is Volt Switch because, like I said, it gives you so much more momentum than the opponent. That's really helpful. And yeah, this team, like I said, what does this team struggle against? There's not really much that it really struggles against. Sometimes it'll just outright lose if you don't get the predictions right. However, I think that's kind of easy. This is a really good team to use for your first team, and it's also a good team to push ladder with because you got a lot of good sets. And they're not super typical sets, like Vaporeon, you don't see that often. And the Latios has a nice mixed set to kind of trick people up on the ladder. This team won't really lose too much. It should definitely get you to at least 1500, which is a respectable spot on the tier laddering. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. Those are the 3 teams I gave you from OU. I already have it done for UU. We'll go over those in a little bit. And I have 1 team for Ubers. I've been using that to push ladder with. PU, I made 1 team, and that's a ladder counter team. Doubles OU, I only have 1 team. I'll be doing some stuff for that. So I got a few more videos to be coming up in the upcoming weeks. Pretty much the same stuff, trying to give up my knowledge on Smogon. I've gotten back into it recently. I've been having a lot of fun with Showdown. I got into 1600 in a few different tiers. I got Double OU with this team, Double Sun, or not Double Sun, just Sun in general. Double Sun, I guess. Double Sun's been a lot of fun. Ubers has been a lot of fun, pushing up there with Deoxys and Zekrom. Zekrom's one of my favorite Pokemon up. There we go. Zekrom. Kangaskhan's really good in that, but we'll talk about those later in upcoming videos. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.